Hi, this is Gunenzo from YouTube. I'm known as Kismet here in the e-game EVE Online. We're going to be going through NPC ratting today in drones region with Horde. Hopefully make this easy for you. Realize that we have a guide for you in the nullsec ratting guide. I'll put it in the description. It's under wckg.net under PvE nullsec ratting. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in here as well. You can, search for Abyssal in here and it explains, and I have guides on basically 103 pages of guides that I've written mostly myself, and check it out. We should have everything you need there. So we have joined Pandemic Horde. We are part of an ESI gated corporation. It should be pointed out that an ESI gated corporation is one that is not Pandemic Horde Inc. or Arctic Beans. Those two are what are called non-gated. They have access to certain types of space. Right now, if you're in Pandemic Horde Inc., you would have to join a different corporation. On this rat page, which is wckg.net/rat, they have the full link of rules right here. There are a lot of rules inside Pandemic Horde, and it explains a lot about how everything works. But almost everything is under information and corp bulletin. You have to read this in detail. It is complicated, but it's a way for you to go ahead and have even spies come and play with us. So where can we rat at? If we are non-gated, we can go ahead and, you see this red arrow right here, we can just click right here. This shows a bunch of systems in here. All of the highlighted systems are places that we could rat. If we change the filter at the top here to NPC kills, we can see where it's active. I most likely would rat in 74 tag D right now, or 9 tag 0. No one's ratting there. It's a little hostile. It has 3 links. We are currently, however, are what is called ESI gated. So if we go back here, we're going to go ahead and look in Peregrine Falls, and we're ESI gated. We're going to go ahead and try and find a nice quiet spot here. In this case, I'm going to go to OP7 and I can do search. And you can see right now there's been some ratting here. There's less ratting over here in this R-AY, but we're going to be close to MJ5 in this location. So we've flown over in a combat ship. This is my Eris. I love it. Cannot recommend it enough. We are going to go ahead and try out the algos first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and board your algos. You're going to check, crap, I got some kills, so I had some loot in there. I'm going to dump that loot into my Eris to remind myself to take it home. I'm going to check ammo here. I'm currently missing some void, so I'm going to add some void to it. This is not a standard built algos, but it's key to go ahead and check your drones. So it looks like I've also lost some drones here, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some infiltrators in there. Note that I have 2 kinds of drones here. I have an Imperial Navy and I have a T2 one, and you can go ahead and see the differences using the compare tool here, and you can see that the Navy one, we can go ahead and remove the other ones, I suppose. You can go ahead and just right click remove. We're going to move augmented, we're going to move integrated. You can compare these 2 seeds. You can see the speeds are the same. You can see their EM damage is very similar. You can see the bandwidth is the same. The orbit velocity is the same. There's a lot of things here that are the same. However, the damage modifiers will be slightly different between the 2, depending on your skills. You also notice that tracking will be significantly different here. Tracking is slightly better on the Imperial Navy. And you can also see that the tank on the shield capacity on the meta is slightly higher. You can also see the cost is somewhat higher as well. However, the ability to use it is much easier. So if you look at requirements here, you only need drones 3 to use this thing, versus in T2, you need drones 5. And you need medium drones 5 too. So we're going to go ahead and restack. We should have a full bay here, but we're going to go ahead and go out with just this set right here. You actually want 1 Acolyte too. I'm short an Acolyte. We're going to go anyway. This is a substandard fit. But we're going to go ahead and use it anyway. We'll hopefully survive. This is a high damage version of it. I don't recommend running this version, honestly. I recommend just the stock one. And it's just to go ahead and get your feet wet. I normally use it for killing small sites, etc. I want to have 10k void. We're going to go ahead and undock. We're going to check intel as well. We have our intel window open here. You see our local window here. You stay safe by having this be somewhere free. We're going to reduce the size of this just to make it easier for us ourselves. You can see this is a light blue name in here. This person is part of Pandemic Horde Inc. He's hanging out. Okay, there you go. You can see that he's hanging out in a non-gated system, or in an ESI gated system, and he's non-gated, so that's not great. But he's just traveling through, so we can mostly ignore him. You can see that there is you can see the intel channels up here. This is bean-intel, and we're basically looking for a couple key channels. Off on another window here, I have a list of systems I'm worried about. I'm in OP7. I know right next door is 5ZU, B7L, EH2. I'm indicating everything by 3 letters. That way I know it's a unique system. And then you can see that 2 out, these are all these systems. And so I can just put this off to the left of my screen here and keep an eye on it. We're going to go ahead and undock here. We're going to do something called belt ratting first. There is a very particular set of order on belt ratting. You want to go ahead and make sure that the first thing you're doing is putting up an orbit. You want to get your AB on. We're going to go ahead and make sure we're locking things up. And in here, we have kind of a ratting thing here. And I can go ahead and bring this up as well. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here, right here. And so this is my list of things I want to do when I land. Is I want to go ahead and get my orbit up. I'm right clicking. I'm going to find the biggest rat. This is a battleship rat. So I'm going to hit W. I have my default orbit set to 500 meters. You can change that to here. We put on our AB. We lock up the small ships. We go ahead and launch our drones with Shift R. I can add those to a group. Launch drones. Yeah, I lost the entire flight, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and engage this group right here. I don't know why the acolyte's not flying. There he goes. Cool. There is an option in here under the gear icon to turn on auto fire and focus fire. We have now go ahead and put an orbit up on a very small, the biggest drone in here. Because I have blasters as well, I'm going to go ahead and start to apply damage, but I want my drones to kill the smallest ships. The small ships are the only one that can really do any damage to you. The big ships really can't do much damage to you. And just go ahead and keeping that orbit up. I have a D-scan open as well. I'm going to reduce my D-scan just a little bit here. So I'm watching Intel networks. I'm watching local. I'm watching D-scan here. D-scan is only for if I see hostiles coming in that I'm worried about getting my drones back in time. And then because I'm high DPS at short range, I'm able to delete these pretty darn fast. It's better to focus fire in most drones, but with rogue drones specifically, you can split fire a little bit. It's perfectly fine because they don't do much shield regen. I'm now alone in local. You can see this over here. So I'm now 100% safe. There's nothing can kill me other than my own stupidity with ratting. So again, all we need to go ahead and do is that same set of orders. If I pull up this again, you can see I'm right clicking, I'm orbiting. I've moved my afterburn up to my top level here. I'm using control lock up drones. I'm using F to engage, Shift R to recall the drones. Shift F is to launch drones. We're going to go ahead and start to get the orbit up on the next guy. Realize that when you first land, you sometimes will land far off these guys. And so you have to be smart about when you're going to go ahead and actually get your orbit up, because you want to be tacking. You can see that his shots are shooting at me. You can see he's missing pretty heavily. By taking a sideways thing, his guns are going to just fire right past me. Once I go ahead and get close enough, I'm going to apply damage. You can see my blasters do no damage when they're too far away. Still missing, and I should start to apply right here. So note that I have this open down here so I can kind of see who's doing the most amount of damage to me. I can make that bigger and smaller as needed. And I'm keeping an eye on how much drone damage my drones are taking here. Note that I am running a somewhat non-standard fit here, but any algos, even the passive one, the NBI one that we give you, is perfectly fine to go ahead and run these. The passive algos that we give you in Horde for free does 112 DPS, slightly higher with, guns, but you don't really use the guns. So it's not a ton of damage, but it's just to get you started and get you the hang of, getting your orbit up. We're going to do one more site here. We only have 4 belts here. We're not in a high belt system. Because this thing is about to die, I'm going to turn off my AB early. This is going to make it easier for me to warp. I'm going to go ahead and reload my guns. I'm going to do Shift R to recall my drones. I'm going to start to align out to the next belt here. I can't, because my AB is off, I can go ahead and just start my warp now. Your AB increases your mass and makes your align time slower. So with my AB off, my align time currently is 4 seconds. If I do simulate with my AB on, it's 5 seconds, so I just save myself a little time. I have a neutral that has entered system right now. I'm going to go ahead and report that guy right now. Realize I'm in warp, so I'm actually sort of in danger right now. But I don't think he's going to go in on me. You can see I only have one drone ruler here. I'm going to go ahead and put an orbit up on him. There's a core prober. I know this guy is a core prober, so he's most likely not a combat ship. He is most likely a Heron or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and engage my drones on the smallest drone. This guy can scram, so he is somewhat of a danger. Realize I'm going straight at the drone ruler, so you can see I'm taking damage. So I might double click to the side of him to go ahead and, so I'm not aiming straight at him. And then you can see my damage is going to go drop off to nearly nothing. I'm going to go ahead and get my orbit up. See what this guy's in. Nothing. And we're just tapping V every so often to go ahead and see if we can keep an eye and if he's going to be coming in on me. But again, I'm pretty sure he's just a Heron scanning down these couple anomalies here. We could go PvP him if we want. We do have a combat ship in the hangar. But we're going to go ahead and ignore him for right now. Once this guy dies, we're going to go ahead and warp off, and we're going to go ahead and switch to our vexer. We're close enough now. Our guns can apply. Realize that your guns can change. The high damage is on the bottom. Low range or high range is at the top here. Oh, I have lancers that have appeared. Lancers are basically rats that just scan. If you shoot them, they will spawn other rats, though. You don't necessarily want to go ahead and engage those. So we're going to ignore them. They won't hurt us at all as long as we're in a belt, or if you're in an observatory or something like that, or if you're in a unidentified wormhole, those lancers will shoot you. But we don't want to engage them. We just want to go ahead and ignore them. And we're not even going to lock them up because we don't want to accidentally aggress our drones here. You can see there is an Imperial Navy slicer on D-scan. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Ottoman. So I'm not going to worry all that much about it. I'm going to turn off my AB here, pull my drones, reload my guns, and then we're going to go ahead. And if you ever get lost, you're going to go ahead and warp out to your bookmark, which is hopefully on the Fortizar. It can be a safe. In this case, I haven't set up a bookmark here. I will set up a bookmark as soon as I land here to make sure I have one. Sure, I am part in standing fleet as well. You can see I have the fleet window over here, and then I have standing fleet here, and I have 200 people here that I can ask for help if I run into problems. But hopefully I'm going to be fine. You can see I do have a bookmark here. It's called Insta Fort. And you can see I have my local bookmarks here in the bottom. Really, it's very easy to open this. You find this under the open in window right here. So if I close this right here, you hit L in game. I got to undock to do it. So we're going to switch to the vexer here. Even though we do have a Heron in system is something, we're going to go ahead and switch to the vexer here. Again, we're going to go ahead and check to make sure we have drones. We're just going to be using T1 for this. This is the T1 vexer that we give you. This one does 300 damage. I've added 2 extra modules. One is an auto targeting system. It basically confuses drone rat aggro. You can also see that I have a civilian gun on here. The civilian gun is just to go ahead and draw aggro. I do have a flux coil on here to help with to deal with cap issues that it might have. My skills are good enough that I could go ahead and pull this off and put on another 4th DDA, but I'm not going to do that. It's a 300 DPS, so it should be fine to go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and undock here. Again, we have insured our ship. We know we have an instant bookmark. We're going to go ahead and open that up again just as soon as we undock here. We still have that neutral and local, but we're not going to worry about him too much. I don't think it's going to be a threat. You can go ahead and pull up his Z kill. So if we go ahead and pull up Z kill and then look up somebody, he doesn't even show up. So just arrow, there he is. Cool. So you can see that he is mostly running a buzzard, and you can even see what he's in. So we could go ahead and try and scan that, whatever he's scanning down, and try and kill him, and maybe he drops some of this loot. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on. We do have some other people filter into local. They're mostly people traveling through. We're going to go ahead and go to the first anomaly. We're going to pick a squad. The squads are the best one here, and we're going to warp in at range. In this case, I'm going to warp at 20K. Note that I have moved my aftermarch to my top row. I have made folders So basically if you click on drones, you can go ahead and do, you can move things to a group. You can move to a new group, and then you can move it into these groups. And you can mark one as favorite. I've marked this one as favorite. The first thing I do when I land is I'm going to orbit at current on one of the objects here. It looks like I might bounce off this thing. We'll go ahead and see. We're going to go ahead and do orbit on this guy right here. We're going to go ahead and just do this one right here. And we're going to go ahead and start to kill these small things first. Let's go ahead and see if I can get my speed up. This is one of the tower ones. And some of the tower ones, you sometimes get a bad roll like this. I'm not bouncing, but it's not fantastic. These hunters are a little far away, so I'm going to ignore them for right now. And I'm going to focus on the towers. The towers are the ones doing some damage to me. You can see that my shield booster is running just fine. No, I am not even running my compact hardener here. The damage will lessen a lot if I'm running that. Note, I'm not running this one at all. I'm watching to see if they're going to shoot my fighters or not. And now that I've killed one of the towers, a lot of the damage is lessened. I'm going to go ahead and try and kill some of those guys. You notice I'm going out of range on a little bit of these. It is sometimes hard to go ahead and find something to orbit in these tower ones, because this structure is so big. So you have to kind of think on your feet a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and target the next one. Note that I haven't even locked up the other ones, and I'm currently out of range out of 2 of the towers right now, so I need to burn around in range. At this point, I'm going to manually pilot over here, and I'm double clicking in space essentially to go ahead and do that. We would like to go ahead and kill all of the towers first. We'll kill one of these drones. This could be what's called a trigger. Basically, the biggest rats in the site are generally what are called the triggers. And we're going to do a little bit of a fancy play here to go ahead and make sure that these things die. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and spread our damage a little bit here. It's going to cut down on travel time associated with this. And we're going to go ahead and take these 3 right here and engage them on this guy. So we're basically spreading our damage onto the different things. And as things die, we'll go ahead and shoot different ones, etc. Note that I double click in space. Before I kill this next one, I'm also going to go ahead and fix my orbit. Realize I'm going to stop running my shield booster just a little bit here to regain some cap here. And as long as I can catch back up, I should be fine. It's better to use keyboard shortcuts whenever possible, but it's not always possible. So I'm in a pretty good position right now. I've handled the first wave. The first wave is always the hardest one on squads and hordes. In herds, it's actually a little bit easier. And if you bring up the P window here, you can see the different types here. You have herds, which are basically a level 7. They give 5 out of 10 escalations, which are not fantastic. You have menageries, which are terrible, just all around. Patrols are the 9 out of 10. And then the squads are the 8 out of 10s, and these give 10 out of 10 escalations. Surveillances are not great. And then and then the hordes are the 10 out of 10s. These are the hardest ones. And these give 10 out of 10 escalations. And even if you mess up, you can realize you can reboot your thing. And the key is that if you do, you just hold off on shooting the last rat, and you should be fine. There's a lot to keep track of. Again, I can see that there's a guy next door right here, old miner. This is a goonswarm guy, so he could go ahead and come in on us. We'll find out. He is right next door. We'll find out. We do have some people coming in. I suspect those are standing feet people. We should get the next wave now. We're immediately going to go ahead and lock up the small stuff there. And the idea is that we're going to go ahead and kill those first. And I'm going to go ahead and split my damage just a little bit again to cut down on drone travel. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I got one more. Yeah, I got 2 more. The problem is your Praetors are going to want to go after the big ships here. So it's better to have them go after the small ships here. Because, again, those things are the ones that do damage to you. The big ships won't do any damage to you whatsoever. If you run the auto-targeting system, it's going to go ahead and target all the big rats that are shooting you, which is not fantastic. And we can start to go ahead and put damage on the battle cruisers now. Battle cruisers are the next highest one here. Note that I've cut down my damage significantly. I'm going to turn off my shield booster again, just to go ahead and demonstrate, you know, how you can recover from those kind of things. So note that I'm drifting a little bit out of range on this guy. We'll go ahead and see. And the key is I need to not bump into the structure. If I bump into the structure, I will die. You can also go ahead and find a wreck that is off a ways and then orbit that wreck. That's why I tried to get those small shards to burn out to me. It makes it easier for me to get a wreck on me that's away from the structure. However, those guys decided to go ahead and stay near the structure for some stupid reason. So there is some active part of this right now. Realize I don't do this a ton, so I'm not the most practiced person. You can see my shields are still ticking down. We still have people filtering in. I don't have anyone else coming in right now. I do see something in DYS, but that's not necessarily near me. Go ahead and run here. And again, these guys are going to be your triggers. These are going to go ahead and trigger the next response. We need to pay close attention for the response fleets. The response fleets can be very dangerous for us. There's one in particular called an infested carrier. This is the reason why we have you do squads instead of hordes. If you run hordes, you have a chance of those infested carriers. Squads, you have a chance of what are called sentients. Sentients are faction drones. They do drop loot. They're the only loot worth looting in these sites as well. I do not recommend looting the other sites, etc. And we're going to go ahead and kill this one. They're going to go try in this one. I don't really care at this point. I can kind of FK at this point. Once you get through the small stuff, it's very easy. You can see that we managed to go ahead and trigger a response here. If I had gone AFK, it'd been bad. And again, I'm going to go ahead and put these two guys onto a second row here and remind myself, okay, kill these guys next. They're probably the previous wave. I think I have extra bandwidth here. I have a certain number of targets I can manage. I want to make sure I stay below that target. So if I have too many targets, I might control shift to unlock a couple. And again, we're killing the small stuff, and then we'll go back through these these guys right here. I'm going to turn off my shield booster again to show how little damage you end up taking. I got my first tick. It is 3 million ISK. I apologize for this thing, but basically this shows you how much you killed in the last 20 minutes. The second tick in your things is how you go ahead and figure out how much money you're making. You want to make sure that you're making money at a good clip. I'll point out that exploration is often a better form of money. If you go into the exploration tab, this explains how to do exploration, but this is a little bit less brainless. You can do a YouTube video while you're doing this. I've now drifted out of range here. I managed to get the air career program though, so that's pretty nice. So it's going to attack one of these guys because I drifted out of range like a newbie. I don't know which one is the one from the previous rounds. I believe it's one of these two. I did damage to them, so realized I do have a drone link augmenter on here. So my drone control range is 80 kilometers. It will attack things outside of my lock range. My lock range is only 65. So it could be targeting these guys. I don't actually know. And I could go ahead and look. You can hold down the Alt key to look to see which one it's attacking. And yeah, that's attacking that one right there. It tries to attack the one that's done the most damage to you, but it's not always very consistent. This one I'm not going to be able to attack soon because it's going to drift out of my range here. So I'd have to burn over to him to go ahead and get to him, but I'm coming around on the next loop, so I should be able to catch him on the next pass. Again, the battleships don't really hurt me. You can see I'm not even running my shield booster, and my barrel, I don't think I've had any damage. You can scroll up. Yeah, no damage. So these guys, their guns just shoot right past you because you go so fast. You can even see that if you have effects turned on, you can see them. So you see this guy just went yellow boxed. That means most likely going to try shooting my drones here. This guy right here is most likely trying to shoot my drones, so I have to keep an eye on my drones. Whenever you get yellow boxed, and it usually happens when you've drifted out of range, which I've done a little purposefully just to demonstrate. There you go. That one's dead. It's going to go ahead and pick the next one. I'd like it to kill this one because I think he's shooting my drones, possibly. Whenever you kill something, it should reset drone aggro to go ahead and say, hey, shoot me, don't shoot my drones. but it's not always super consistent. So again, I have people trying to travel around me. I don't really have anyone near me. The guy in B7, I think he died. There is a way to go ahead and set a Z kill filter so you can see who's been killing around you. So if you see a vexer die near you, you know they might be coming for you next. But there's another program called SMT. So if I go to nullsec ratting type SMT, there is a guide on setting up SMT, and we'll open these up in separate tabs. So under releases, here's the releases. So this is the latest of SMT right here. And then this says how to set it up. I don't use this. I just watch Bean Intel. I have this neutral that just came into system. I'm going to go ahead and report them. Let's do a scan here. It could be a Heron. I think it's Heron. Yeah, I think it's this one. So if you look at, I would guess that's going to be him. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a short range scan at this point. There's a Tengu one scan. I could go ahead and pull this up on Zkill. Let's see, we'll pull him up. I'm playing a little dangerous here because I'm doing a video. I normally would just be warping out here. He is killing ratters here in vexers. So I think he could be a vexer ratter killer. So I'm going to keep on keeping on. He has been killing an MJ, and it looks like that he's been he's running that Tengu. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our AB here. I'm going to warp out. I'm leaving my drones behind. I don't care about the drones. I've turned off my AB, so I should be getting into warp here shortly. Left my drones behind, but that's not a big deal. I've saved my ship. He wasn't able to go ahead and do much of anything there. Realized that I did warp to a desolate asteroid belt. He can go ahead and try and follow me here. But the key is that I'm warping off someplace that is not there. I should be able to get into warp before he lands. And that's nullsec ratting. I left behind my drones, but I don't really care all that much. He landed 50K off because I was orbiting in the maximum range. I wasn't that worried about it. It's interesting, and because I was in one of those, the big sites, he got decloaked right away. So anyway, I think that's the extent of it. We're going to go ahead and replace those drones. Realize that if I have docked up, I should have extra drones here. If I bring extra drones, and the key is if I'm going to go pick up drones, I'm going to go over in my my combat ship. Or I'm going to bring a slasher or something like that. So anyway, that's nullsec ratting for you guys. It's not super complicated. This has been a half hour. You can see this guy is now cleared. I'm going to report the intel that he's clear, that he left. And I can probably go ahead and go right back to the site that I had warped to if I remember the site name. And I might be able to reconnect to my drones. We'll go ahead and try that. I won't end the video right here, but if I do, maybe I'll just end the video. We'll see. So I'm pretty sure I worked the first one here. We'll go ahead and warp to 20 again. We'll see if we can find our drones here. I should have remembered the signature. I didn't even think to do that because, again, I just don't do this a ton anymore. I mainly PvP, so hence the working out to the desolate asteroid belt to try and distract them. This is not it. This is the other type of patrol that you have. This is the elite drone parasite one. And the elite drone parasite one, you just shoot that one rat, and that one rat will go ahead and spawn other rats. So this is the drone trigger. So it'll just start to spawn more and more things. So. We'll go ahead and warp around to a couple other sites. We're pretty safe to warp into these sites, the patrols. Or sorry, I was doing squads, wasn't I? I wasn't doing patrols, was I? That'd explain it. Let's warp to this one. We're warping at range because we're less likely to get tackled. We could get tackled by these guys, but you have a pretty good chance of escaping 90% of the things. Again, it's not a super complicated game. I know that it seems overwhelming right now, but you'll get the hang of it. I'm making tons of mistakes here, and I'm still just going to be fine. And there's my drones again. They've managed to go ahead and kill a couple here. We'll go ahead and get our orbit back up first, and then we'll reconnect to our drones. You right-click to reconnect to your drones. We'll do Shift-R to go ahead and return them. We're going to pull them in just to get them repairs going on them, and they hopefully will get shot less. You normally will only kill, one or two, because of the way drone aggro works. Drone aggro is like a super specialized bit of knowledge you need to know. I didn't get my AB on, so I'm gonna get my AB on. And we'll go ahead and relaunch our drones. And we lost a Praetor. We do have spares here, so we're gonna go ahead and move our Praetor into, oh wait, do we have a spare? We don't have a spare, so. More mistakes, but that's okay. And we'll move this into the mix. They usually kill the biggest drone, so. The safer thing would have been for me to do there was to pull my drones as soon as he entered, instead rather than looking him up. We did report some intel here, and they're most likely going to try and catch that Tengu. He's not being super smart because he did warp at 0. If he had stayed cloaked and warped at range, he could have snuck up on me. That's why I got scared, because he cloaked up. When you see him on D-scan, you're pretty sure you have a guess where he is, and you can change your range on it as well. So there's a whole bunch of guys coming through here, but they're all friendlies. Realize that some are in my fleet, some are like this guy right here. He is in Pandemic Horde Inc., so he is non-gated. So if I'm in the ESI gated space, which I am right now, I could go ahead and basically say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. It's usually just confusion from people. You don't need to be too harsh on there. Hey, they managed to get a shot off on me. I suppose I should get my hardener on. I should get my shield booster on, but I'm not going to do my shield booster right now. I'm going to shoot this guy with my gun. That's going to cause him to be aggressed. So my drones will see that I aggressed on that guy previously, and we can shoot him even though he's not shot at me. That's how you go ahead and deal with aggro. He's about to go out of range too, so I'm going to switch my drones to him as soon as I can here, as soon as this guy dies. I don't want to split my damage here on these, the big guys. It's only in the small guys you tend to split damage. I'll point out that if you ever get confused, you can always go to the Newbeans channel here, and you can go ahead and ask questions. We run 24/7. We don't always have everybody in game, but we definitely have people in Discord for sure. So you can feel free to go ahead and get into the Discord and ask questions. And realize that most of this is kind of what they call solved content. There's a lot of other ships you can run for this, but the Vexer with low skills makes the most amount of sense because it just does enough damage to be, it's pretty effective. Like this one does 255 DPS. If you look at the other Vexers you can run, I realize I can't see local right now, so I'm in danger. But like this DPS Pro one that I've run before, this one can do 500 DPS. Now, granted, that's a big chunk of it, or some chunk of it is guns. So you can see that 48 of this is guns, so it is 400 DPS, which is just drones. But my current ship right now cost me 18 mil, and I get replacements if I die. Horde will go ahead and replace the Vexer if you lose it, as long as you're being careful. And the key is we want you to go ahead and be careful. I kind of wanted to debate that Tengu to go ahead and show how easy it was to die, but again, because I can just get a new one if I want. So we're going to go ahead and see what our tick is going to be like. It should be coming up on 20 minutes here. We'll see. This guy should be dying soon. Boom, there he goes. How about that? Good prediction of how long your drones take to kill stuff. Most of the problems you have with drone travel is getting just the travel. That's the only problem. This squad is not the best, is just because the travel time. You can see how slow the Praetor is compared to everything else. And this is what's with really good skills too. I'll point out that the drone skills here, drone navigation, this is super, super important. Drone interfacing, one of the best skills in the game for ratting. So this is 10% more damage, and you need drones 5. That's it. So if you have skill points that you've gotten like a skill, you've gotten you've gotten 100,000 skill points or 1,000,000 skill points from a recruiter link. Recruiter links are very easy to take advantage of for yourself. And you can go ahead and bump that all into drones 5 to go ahead and do the 5 drones. Drones 5 does a lot more. You can see right now, because I dropped that Praetor, I'm actually doing less damage. If I do simulate and increase and add the extra Praetor here, so I'll go ahead and increase this, boom, and I'll remove the infiltrator. You can see I do, oops, I gotta drop that one, add that one, 270 normally, and then right now, because I'm using a lesser drone, I'm doing 255. It's still pretty decent, so I'm gonna keep on going. Note that I did have spares in here. I had the Hornet 300s, and I could have abandoned. You can right click and abandon your drones and then drop out the EC 300s. And that would go ahead and basically slow him down on, he might get jammed out and you can warp off. Kind of hoping that was going to happen, but you know, he never got close enough. He could scram me. He could have had a long point, I suppose, but not in a Tengu. The Loki, I would have been in danger. Proteus definitely would have been in danger. If he'd been able to stay cloaked, he totally would have been able to have me. But because I'm going, 600 meters a second, and I'm going around a very big structure. Okay. Small ones. Again, we're going to shoot the battle cruisers first. I'll lock up these other 2 as well, just to keep them on scan in case this thing has a weird drone trigger aggro problem again. We've been having some drone trigger aggro problems, so. Note that I'm not running my shield booster at all still, so I got to keep an eye on it. I keep an eye on my drones, keep an eye on local, keep an eye on here. This is approximately 4 waves, I believe. Combat sites, and then we'll go down to squads. These are the ones we're doing. This is the drone structure variant, and there are 4 spawns. So this might be the end of it. We'll see. Super, super exciting. So this is, I believe this is this wave, the third spawn right now. Note that it defaulted to go ahead and attacking this guy because he was doing the most damage. Again, I'm going to put damage on this guy just to go ahead and make sure my drones auto-aggro on him when I go around the back side of this. I do have a wreck here that has burned off a little bit, so I could go ahead and set this to my orbit here. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. I'm going to go, this guy's been pulled off quite a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and orbit him. And you can also just dump a can. Realize that when I'm burning towards them, they have a chance of getting some good shots off on me. The more names they have, like this Albus controller is generally going to be a weaker drone than the Swarm Preserver Albus. That's having 3 or 4 names in here means that it's a more advanced drone, and it might do more damage. And realize you can also see which ones are particularly damaging to you in general. You can see this one does kinetic and explosive. It's mostly kinetic, some explosive. We can do show and fun this guy. This guy's mostly explosive, so I can kind of ignore him. And then this guy does kinetic. So this drone, this guy right here does mostly explosive. I have a really good explosive resist, I think, right now. Yeah, 66, that's my highest resist. So that guy I don't care that much about. Once you learn the kind of the names, you can kind of prioritize. This guy does a lot of damage to me. This guy doesn't do a lot of damage to me. And you can see all of these, they have their weaknesses as well. And their weaknesses is all in EM. It's the reason we're using Praetors. Praetors are a certain type of, called a Mar drone. And they do EM damage. You can see this is the EM damage. And then this is their damage multiplier, which is the big thing. And you can see all the bonuses we get from this, from the Vexer specifically. So we get bonuses to heavy drone operations, we get drone interfacing, we get Galante cruiser, we get Vexer, and then we get the 3 drone damage amplifiers, which are all T1. So we're going to go ahead and just kill time until we finish this. We should be coming up on our second tick here. We're at nearly 40 minutes. The second tick is usually the good indicator of how much money you're making per hour. Yeah, I'll point out with exploration, you can, okay, I got a neutral in system. I'm going to go ahead and report him. We'll see if he's going to be coming after me as well. I'm going to hit V in space. Should have done that as soon as he showed up beforehand, but that's okay. We're going to turn off our afterburner here to see if we're going to warp out here. Slasher on scan. I suspect that's one of ours. We can go ahead and align out. We're not that worried about our drones here. Condor maybe. I don't think a Condor will come in. I don't feel threatened by it. If the bomber will be ready to warp out here. It's a Drake. That's interesting. We'll go ahead and drop our range here. We are in D-scan range of our Fortizar here, so we can see if it's bubbled or not. We are going to take a little bit more damage because we are doing with afterburner off. I'm going to turn it on again. He's gone. So I'm going to go ahead and report him. Realize that I can go ahead and bookmark sites as well. Realize that some ratters, people will go ahead and warp back to your site if they've seen you've been ratting. Realize I'm flying on the busiest day of the week. Right now is it's Sunday. This is the busiest day to play Eve right now. So everyone's out PvPing. Again, at the start of this video, I had been trying to film this like 3 times now, and then we had Miss come by, we deleted them. We went ahead and had a Barghest and a Gila and come by, and I deleted them. I reported them intel, and everyone showed up, and I don't know. Just reporting intel right there can help a ton, because then they say to all our PvPers, hey, come kill this guy for me. So we'll go ahead and see if our orbit is good at 5K or so. We want to make sure that realize you do take a little bit more damage this way, because you're basically going to be flying straight into this guy right now. You can see I'm flying straight towards this guy, so he could get some wrecking shots off on us. But we can always just right click on the biggest structure and a right click orbit at current. And that in theory should go ahead and boat you away, but we are very close to this big structure. 2.6 mil tick. So you can see I made a little bit more money doing the algos right now, but we can go ahead and do our math if we want to now. So if I'm going to go ahead and make 3 mil ticks, and I'm getting 3 per hour, you know, I'm making 9 mil an hour, not fantastic. However, because I have something called an ESS, I'm actually getting 5 ticks, and I think the ESS will pay out. I'm making 15 mil an hour doing this. I could be making more with better ship, better skills. Again, you can see that the algos there, I managed to kill more and make more. You can see the ESS currently has 4 million in it. That's mostly going to be me. I doubt anything's going to go ahead and try and steal that, because it's not very big. They might just to get a fight. ESS is a very specific, it's called the encounter surveillance system right here. It takes, so basically 60% goes into the bank here, 40% goes into the ESS. We're going to, again, go ahead and lock up the cruisers first. And I'm going to get my drones moving over that way. I'm not going to actually attack that guy. I'm just going to get the first guy you lock, it's just easier to get your stuff over there. And then we're going to go ahead and burn over this way. And we're going to pull some range on these guys. These guys could actually hurt me if they track me. So I'm going to not orbit that wreck right now. This is one of the harder ones to like kind of AFK at. So make sure I get all of the guys here. I'll move these guys into a second row, so it's just easier to keep track. And I'll go ahead and split damage as well. Not always recommended, but you know. Note that sometimes you will get some effects that happen in the system that like speed up your shield booster and stuff like that. The key is that you need to be aware of those when that's happening, and make sure that you can adjust your things. There's large chunks of time when you don't have to run your shield booster. Like most likely after this last cruiser, I don't have to run my shield booster. I am manual piloting right now. I double clicked in this area. You can see it doesn't say orbit on anything. At this point, I'm going to go back to the orbit here. So I'm going to stop my ship. You see, when you change an orbit, you can stop your ship and you can take a bunch of wrecking shots that way. If you had battleships on field, that could be really bad. But we didn't have any, so I wasn't that worried about it. I'm pretty sure I can tank these guys even going 0 speed, but, you know, why? There are other ships you can use. The Oracle is possible to go ahead and do this content, but you have to handle it in a very specific way. If anything gets you on 0, you die. You can do stuff in a Praxis, but it's a lot of wasted skill points. The Praxis just requires a lot of skill points to do this just as well as the Vexer. You could do this in, there's other ones that you could do it in Dominix or a Myrmidon, but you're not going to do that much better because you're still using the same basic things, and all the big guns on those ships don't help you. We might get another spawn here as well. We're going to recover some cap here a little bit and be ready for a spawn. They also, I mean, like a Dominix now costs 400 mil. Praxis is still 200 mil. I'm actually kind of curious what they're like. We just got free ones, so let's take a look here. Praxis is currently 200 mil still. So versus the 18 mil that I'm risking here, and I'm going to get very similar ticks, the amount of time you need to recover that money is very long. And our hope here is that we get what's called an escalation. Escalation allows us to go ahead and basically sell this for money. So we can go ahead and join the Zulu's Escalation Bazaar. Zulu's Escalation Bazaar has the instructions on how to set up your bookmark and where to put it. They have a suggestion on prices here. We have now completed the site. This site should disappear from this list here. If you have this constantly updating, by the way, you'll see these things disappear. Here's the NTR one that I'm currently in. You can see there's some like cans in here. This is from the towers. Those are never worth picking up. And then there, the NTR disappeared because I finished the site. So we're just going to pull our drones here. We lost one Praetor, too. We went ahead and made some money here. I'm turning off my afterburner. I'm going to align to the Fortizar here. When I'm done for the day, I'm definitely going to go ahead and either burn back in my combat ship, or I'm going to go ahead and death clone back to MJ5. It's very easy for me to go ahead and get into a fleet at that point. And we can go ahead and wait for this ESS to pay out. You can see how often it's stolen by looking how often it's been transacted in the last 24 hours. So you can always look at that to go ahead and see how that works. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful for you. I'm sorry it's so long, but I wanted to make sure I completed one full site. If I got an escalation, I might have gone over and bookmarked it. You can use the RAT page to figure out where you can go ahead and run sites like that. But realize that like 90% of the time, it's not worth running as a brand new player. It says where you can, if you're non-gated, you can't run in Malpass, you can't run in Spire, you can't run in Catch, but you can run in Slice Space, Renter Space, etc., as long as you provide proof that you have the escalation. Escalations are best run in T3Cs and Marauders. There are other ships you can use, but you're going to make the most money just continuing to run more sites and getting more escalations. It's much better to go ahead and just get more escalations than it is to actually take the 4 hours it takes on some of the people who run Praxises. So, and again, you're going to go ahead and move into towards an Ishtar, which I can fly. And if you look at like the Ishtar fits here, they just get insane amounts of damage. And more importantly, they just track really well. So like this one does 700 DPS. It's hard to express how much difference that amount of damage does for you. So I think that'll be it for me today. I'm going to go ahead and leave my ships here. I'm going to take my loot out. I'm going to go ahead and remind myself, hey, dummy, you need to go ahead and replace this Praetor right here. I know that I'm good on ammo here. I know I have extras here, and I do actually have an extra Praetor here I could have used, but I wanted to use T1. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and see you in Pandemic Horde. Take care.